Hey folks, how you doing? It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. Hopefully that's all coming through. I'm assuming it is. It's looking like it is. Maybe it's not. How's everyone doing? It's Monday night, 9 o'clock, my usual live stream time. Trying a different camera angle. I think it's looking pretty good. Ah, you made it. Hey, how you doing, man? Thank you for all the kind words about that Blues Junior video that I did too. I really appreciate everyone being so cool about it. You never know what people are going to be into, right? I thought that would just be a nothing video, and then people was like, no, I found it really useful, and I got a bunch of messages and stuff, and I was like, never know. Oh, great. I'm glad you like the angle. Thank you. It looks better. The problem I had was my camera's normally over this side, pointing this way, and I'd face like that. But what I noticed is the camera being on a certain angle was adding all this moire pattern to the strings, where they look like they're kind of all disjointed instead of being continuous. It was really bugging the hell out of me. So I think this is better. Cheers, Steve. Steve-07771. Thanks, dude. Had a couple of good gigs this weekend. 2 gigs that couldn't have been more worlds apart. So the first gig we did was I played at Library Bar on Friday with Blaine and Jacob and Oscar. And we played funk music, you know, stuff like that. Didn't know what we were going to do. It was just a total jam gig. But we played a bunch, you know, we're going to play tunes you know, hopefully. But it was awesome. It was so much fun. I got some video from it. I'll probably post some at some point. And then had a Gypsy Jazz gig last night, which was interesting, with a band called Hot Cafe that I play with a bit. And I kind of haven't done we haven't done one of those gigs this year probably. And the Gypsy Jazz stuff is really challenging. You know, when you're playing that Gypsy stuff, you got to play. Part of it is being able to play with volume. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a challenge in itself. You're on an acoustic instrument. You know, it's just a different world, and so. Yeah, but it was fun. We had a good turnout. Sold out, so that was awesome. Aaron, you made it. I'm glad you didn't forget, man. You're here, that's the main thing. My iPad went flat, so it's been super annoying and taking forever to charge. And then it was saying, no internet connection. I'm like, lies. You lie, iPad. Aaron asked about this backing track, so I thought, I'll start with that. This is Mournful Blues Ballad, and it is by Now You Shred backing tracks. I'm just going to show kind of how I'd approach this. Your TV does that all the time. Yeah, my TV packs a spaz sometimes too. It's super annoying. We got a Sony TV. It's not that old. It's maybe 6-7 years old or something like that. But it just sometimes decides, well, I just don't want to work today. So, and sometimes it won't turn the system on, and it just won't put output sound, so you have to switch the whole thing off and turn it back on. It's like, come on, man. I think TVs and all that stuff's just gotten so complicated, you know what I mean? They're all now they're all smart TVs and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, this is a backing track by Now You Shred Backing Tracks. And it's called Mournful Blues Ballad Jam Track, guitar backing track in A minor. I haven't played it before, but I had a quick listen through about 10 seconds of it when Aaron sent it through. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to completely approach it like it's fresh, and then I'll break down what I do. Hopefully it sounds balanced. We'll see. So there's G, F. And it just stopped. Come on, iPad. Get your crap together. A minor. G. F. And then it went back to A minor, I think. I don't know why my iPad decided to turn off then. Usually I'd have it charged up before. My iPad's pretty old. It's probably an iPad 1. Do this. Try again. So yeah, one thing Aaron had in particular was he was talking about we're in A minor, but you've got this B7 chord, right? How to approach that. So I'm just going to go for it, because if I think too much about it in advance, I'll try and formulate something, and that's never particularly great. So hopefully this plays now and doesn't shut down like it just did. Never had that before. Yeah, so that has some interesting things in it. It's sort of built off A minor, and then G, F major 7, sits there for 2 bars, and then you have B7, and that's the one that Aaron was struggling with a little bit, I think he said. It's like, what to do on that? Because the thing with that is, you're not an A minor anymore, and it sits there for so long, right? If it just went to that chord and you just you know, you had like a second to play it, that'd be different. You just probably just stay in the home key or something. But in that case, you really have to play it. I found myself kind of leaning on the arpeggios quite a bit. Nice lyrics. That sort of thing. And then when it went to the E chord, it's not really E7, it's E7 sus. And I really was trying to lean on that because I messed it up the first time. There's a little trick you can do on sus chords. Check this one, this is a good one. If you have an E sus, right, go up a semitone and play minor pentatonic. Right, really easy, right? You have the ninth, the fourth, right? That's a good note. Fifth, sixth, root note. All good notes. I see Sam McKenzie's in the chat. Police, escort this man away. There you go, Sam. That's just for you, buddy. Where's my 7 string? I don't know how to play a 7 string. What am I supposed to do there? This isn't Rock Shop. Aaron, you do know that Rock Shop is a brand in New Zealand, a company. Kind of like in Australia where you have... oh God, what's the chain? Oh, I can't even think. Billy Hyde. Is Billy Hyde still in Australia? I'm going to move that microphone a bit closer because it sounds like it's picking up my... Yeah, there we go. Sorry, that's kind of being shot, but it sounds better, I think. Yeah, so that's what I do. I kind of hit that chord, the B7 chord, and I'll be trying to play that as much as possible. Spell it out. You know, arpeggios work really great. Like Americans would say, arpeggios. That sort of stuff. It's really... What is that? It's my little heater. I thought it was my computer. Okay, we can move that back. Right, that'll do. That sort of sound, right? Sam's a serious question. Oh, here we go. Tell me your approach to guitar playing when playing with a new drummer versus a drummer you've played a bunch with. Does it change, and what do you listen for? Yeah, it does actually, to be honest. If I play with a new drummer, the first thing I'm looking for is like where they're feeling the groove, right? Like if I play something... If I play a groove like that, right, I'm gonna be sitting. There's a bounce about that I'm going for, right? And I'm listening to like where their pocket is, like right, where does it feel it? Now I'm listening to that with any drummer that I play with, but particularly with someone who's new, like I'm kind of trying to lock with it, like where they're feeling it, like straight away. And that tells me a few things, right? Like if I'm playing with a drummer and like I don't feel they're consistent about where their pocket is, then I know we're in trouble, right? And so my first thing to do is to go, okay, well, I'm going to have to be the one that locks it in. And there's a couple of things you can do as a guitar player to kind of sort that, right? Like if I have a groove like... like a James Brown type thing. A groove like that's pretty spacious, but if I can hear the drummers kind of like, say I'm playing with some young student and they're struggling, then I might go... and all that, like that, is kind of you're not really going to even hear that in the band. It kind of just almost sounds like a hi-hat, but what it does is it gives them something to lock to, and then we can kind of find a common place. But usually, I mean, any good drummer, it's like that kind of happens straight away. So I'm kind of listening for that, and then asking questions of what needs to be taken care of, right? If the groove's happening, then, you know, I have to do even less. If it's not happening, then I got to lock it down. But it's usually about groove most of the time. Aaron says, the first thing I'm looking for is how they smack them. There are some loud ass drummers out there. There are some loud ass drummers out there, but I love it. I love loud drums. And if they can count to 4. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I'd rather a drummer that can count to 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? 8 beats. If they can give me all 8, then they're subdividing. And Sam says nothing wrong with a loud drummer. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't get this whole thing when people book bands and then ask them, you know, not to make any sound. Seems to be real prevalent in the UK at the moment, these silent stages. It's bullshit. Yeah, man, I love playing with you, Sam. I think you sound great, bro. I'm looking forward to jamming. By the way, no, loud drummer's good if they're musically loud, right? There's nothing worse than any instrument, not just drums, because guitar players can be just as bad at this, who just plays loud all the time. That's unmusical, right? If someone's like, you know, this sort of approach. Someone plays like that, I just kind of go, like, I switch off to it. But if they're kind of musical and it's dynamic and it flows and it gets loud when it needs to and it gets very soft when it needs to, that can be, you know, that can be really exciting. As long as, and again, as long as it's not obnoxious, you know, if it's musical, like I've played with drummers who just play loud all the time and smack the shit out of the drums. There was one drummer I played with, he was like a ska drummer, you know, ska music. And this dude just like, there was one dynamic and it was loud as heck. Like, there was no subtlety to anything he ever did. And after about the second song, I was kind of like switched off to everything he did. All right, at that point, it just became a job. So I just played my part, and then I went home and I went, well, I don't want to play with that guy again. Yeah, Sam says, I mean, man, Weckl was super loud, but also had the control to explore. Your solos with him, backing him, were awesome. Yeah, thanks. So for those that don't know, Sam McKenzie came on that tour with Dave Weckl that we did, and Sam was drum tech for him. I think it was you and Jeremy Richardson. They had 2 drum techs, and because Weckl had a big setup, you know, and he doesn't play that loud. He doesn't play any louder than you do, Sam, or he doesn't play any louder than Jeremy Richardson does, or any of the other guys. And the thing with Weckl is that, like, people know that him as a real chopsy player, and he can do that, but man, he can groove like a mofo too. Like, his groove is ridiculous. And that's the first thing I noticed playing with him, was just how easy it felt to play. John Riley was like that. I remember playing with John Riley, and different kind of music. We were playing more swing kind of stuff. And playing with John Riley, not John Riley, no, who am I thinking? Joe LaBarbera. You know, who was the drummer with Bill Evans. I played with Joe LaBarbera. And I remember playing with Joe, and he had this way of playing that the time was like super solid, but you'd place the note, and you could kind of place it anywhere you like, and he would absorb your beat and make it this big fat round cuddly thing around whatever note you put, wherever you put it, and kind of make the whole thing move along. It was just fantastic. Man, when I saw Steve Gadd, he wasn't playing that quiet. Man, I've seen Steve Gadd 3 times now, Brian. And man, Brian, Steve Gadd likes to smack the drums when it needs to be, like, right? But his general playing is middle ground, right? That's what I mean about drummers that play loud all the time. Beebs, you here? Hey, David Beebe's in the chat. Yeah, so like drum, you know, the middle ground, like Weckl's the same. Weckl, Gadd. I've seen Gadd 3 times now. His middle ground is kind of normal volume, right? But man, when he wants to smack it, he really gives it a bit. But then it comes back down, right? It's this musical thing. It's the same with guitar players, right? Like people that just, you know, play loud all the time, you know. Even just like a phrase like this. You can go, just kind of attack it, or you can go. see there where I'm like really being expressive with the notes. Yeah, Sam, thanks for piping in, man. We'll have a jam soon. It'd be great to play with you. But I think that it's like the phrasing that makes it, you know, and dynamics, you know, even within a phrase, it doesn't have to go. You can go, or you can go. Steve does. I did a tour with Steve Smith as well, and man, that dude is ridiculously dynamic. But the crazy thing was the tour with him, the opening song was Just in Time, which is a jazz standard, and Steve would be like, night one, he goes, Nick, I want guitar solo up front for about 3 minutes, right? It's just gonna be drums, bass, and guitar, and then the band's gonna come in. And so I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And he goes, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this was the tempo we started, right? Night one, I'm like, you know, still playing my stuff, it's fine. Next night he goes, I'm going to push the tempo a little more. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you know. And I'm going from cold, right? It's the first song of the night. There's no warming up. There's no getting into it. It's just like, there it is. He got faster and faster and faster every night. And by like night 4 or whatever it was, I was like, man, I was like right on the edge of my chops, like. Not feeling like I was really, you know. And every night he would give me a little glance after the little solo when the band came in and give me a nod and he'd be like, yeah, you know, it was great, which was cool. And then there was one night I felt like I was right on edge. And came and saw me afterwards. He goes, you know, I'm going to push the tempo even further tomorrow night, aren't I? Don't you? And I was like, okay. By about night 6, it was like, we're talking 320, 350 beats per minute, like burning, you know. But it was so much fun, and I had to bring my A game, and that's what he was wanting, like right from the get go. No warming up into it. You know what I mean? Love it. But yeah, so anyway, back to that thing for Aaron. So I would just play each chord change in this instance, dude. Like, I think that's the best approach because those chords don't really fit any other way, right? A minor, G. Well, that's still an A minor, but some kind of movement, and then you've got F. Right, that's all really A all in. Or C major if you want to think of it that way. Over A. And then... No, I didn't get a chance to listen to it, dude. Sorry. You messaged me just before I had a student. Like I was literally just walking into the lesson. And I had 2 students and then I came straight in to do this. I had some dinner and then I came straight to do this. So I haven't had a chance to yet, but I will listen to it. You know what I mean? I play each chord change. Yeah, one thing with that Weckl thing too that Sam was talking about, he says he's talking about the solos. I had a solo on the tune The Chicken, right? Jazz school days. So on the end of the form there was that big tritone. Oh, it's not a standard. I mean, it is a standard, but it's not a jazz standard. It's a standard. What I mean by if I said it was a standard, I mean it's one of those tunes that everybody plays. Kind of like Chameleon, and you know, it's like jazz school year 1. Babes, how did you think go with Josh Meader this morning? I saw it come up, but it was like early in the morning. I just didn't get a chance to check it out yet. So, just straight orange juice tonight, people. I'm not really feeling like having any alcohol. It's a Monday night. Aaron asks, what's the most overused jazz standard score you hear that gives you ear fatigue? I don't really feel that way about any of them, to be honest. I don't, you know what I mean? It's funny. Sometimes I've seen musicians kind of get funny about playing Summertime or Autumn Leaves or things like that. And I'm like, man, my approach to it is, if Summertime's boring to you, then you're not being very imaginative. That's what it is. And I get that, if you've done something to death, then you can get sick of it, but even then I still, something like Summertime, I still see new possibilities in it. And same with Autumn Leaves. And I had one of my student tonight, James, we did Blue Bossa and started looking at some solo guitar things, because he was really getting into solo guitar at the moment. And we were looking for new possibilities on Blue Bossa. I mean, there's a heap you can do on a tune like that. You see what I mean? There's only ideas, right? I can see heaps of things like that, and even stuff like, like that's kind of keeping it with that sort of feel. Like I'm just like, cheers, babes. Start getting into that kind of feel. It's sort of, there's an infinite amount of possibilities. Oh, bummer about the audio, man. Yeah, that sucks. These live stream things, they don't make it easy on us, do they? I'm back to the real camera because I just was really disappointed with the other camera that I had last week. So I'm half expecting this to turn itself off or do something stupid like it does. It's not easy, is it, Beebs? It's like, It's probably too, because for me it's like I'm doing this stuff on a budget. It's like just a dude in my little studio space here, which is a room in our house, and I'm using my camera that I normally have and the cheap little HDMI adapter, and I got this microphone here through a preamp. It's pretty simple. Oh, thanks, man. I like this angle. I like this. This works pretty good for me. One thing I find real nuisance here, and the reason I've set this up like this, is that I want to have stuff set up and not have to pack it down when I have students and stuff. So, or if a client comes in for like I've got a session and they're sitting on the couch over here, I don't want to have to pack anything down. I just want to leave it set up. So that's why the camera over here is cool, because I can just leave it. It doesn't have to move. Oh, thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. These are actually pretty comfortable, but they sit on top of your ear. So you see what I mean? Like, ear gets a bit red, but they're actually pretty comfortable. These are HD25s, Sennheisers, which have pretty much become industry standard now. Every engineer I know loves these, and they do sound really good, but I wouldn't wear them for like 2 hours or something. But for an hour for a live stream, it's not really a problem. I got my in-ear monitors, but I hate them. These sound way better. I need to invest in a really good pair of headphones, though. That's a good point. But they're not painful. I mean, they're probably worth if I wore them for a few hours. Cheers, man. I'm glad the angle's working for people. David Beebe says, yeah, I feel similarly getting bored on tunes. I still got to practice and work to do every say I'm bored. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even summertime, right? Like, you know, a lot of jazz guys are like get really bored of that song. I don't get it. To me, it's like, you know, there's a heap of possibilities in that tune. It's like, why would you get bored playing that? I don't know. I don't. Just see possibilities. Brian says Sony MDR7506 is a pretty standard headphones, which are great. Nice. Yeah, there's some really good Sony headphones that I've used over the years in studios. I've had these for a while, and like I said, they've become a standard. Really great drummer Darren Mathiasen, I know around town. You know, he uses them. Most of the studio the engineers I know really like them. They're kind of neutral sounding, which is what I like. You know, I don't want headphones that hype the sound. For me, I want them just to sound natural, because I actually really like mixing on headphones. I find that, like, if I move my head like that, the sound doesn't change. I find too, if I'm away and I just have a laptop or whatever I'm using to mix with, it's still the same. And then I always check on my studio speakers here as well. Aaron says, had any wins lately? Yeah, I think I've definitely had some shit go wrong lately. It goes like that, you know. Sometimes you have good days and bad days, you know what I mean? It happens to everyone. Wins, I'd say Friday, the weekend's gigs were wins, you know. Cheers to that. Orange juice. You know, when you play, have a couple of good gigs, it kind of lifts the spirits, you know what I mean? Seem to be obsessed with playing that lately. Yeah, I mean, big thing for me is just try and win a little bit more every day, you know what I mean? I'm really enjoying this guitar, and actually, funny enough, see that, is it going to show? I don't know if you can really see it. I've been working on the pickup heights, and I find that makes a big difference in how the guitar sounds, right? Whoops. Feels super balanced now, and it was like, man, that took a, yeah, it's got a nice neck on this guitar, nice bit of rosewood, and it's got a nice bit of wear and stuff, but it's pretty good condition for it, and it's 94 Japanese Strat, and it's you know, it's barely been played. Like, I noticed all the controls were pretty yellow because they're kind of old, and it's probably been, who knows what environment it was in, but because I'm using it now and I'm moving things around and doing this, it's like started like going back to being clear. Randall says, I recently got an expensive Hagstrom Viking 2 Elvis reissue. Nice. Expensive from China, over $1,000. You need to check one out. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played a Hagstrom before. I'd like to. Maybe they'll send one out to check out. Aaron says he spent 3 weeks tweaking his guitar to get the setup right for the pickups. It takes time, doesn't it, to kind of, and it makes such a difference because it's like, it's balance, and the thing is, you'll put one down and then you'll be like, okay, well now I've got to change the tone because maybe there's less bottom end from the neck pickup now, but that's all kind of balances right. I'm going to play another tune. What am I going to play? Let's turn that off. What should I play? Any suggestions? Any tunes you want to hear? I Had the Time of My Life by Patrick Swayze. Go on. Got it for $3.99 with a 2-year warranty. Whoa, can't beat that. That's a pretty good price, I think. I don't know what they're worth, but it seems they're pretty good. Yeah, everyone seems to like... Guitar Love says mine has stainless steel frets. Everyone seems to like stainless steel frets. I personally don't. And I totally get that other people do, and that's all good. I have had one guitar with stainless steel frets in it, and it sucked. It was awful. I took them out and got it refretted, and that guitar just came to life. Before that, there was this upper frequency zing that was just annoying, and it didn't matter what you do to EQ it, it wouldn't come out. And it was like really quite a high frequency, like 10K, 12K, like upper, like way above where guitar normally sits, like this. And it was in the frets, you know, and so yeah, I got them removed, got nickel frets back in, and all of a sudden that guitar just sounded right. It was my Ibanez AZ. So ever since then, but my friend Lee Jackson, that 63 Strat that I had, which is actually very similar to this, is a 62 reissue. That guitar has stainless frets in it and sounds great. I wouldn't change them in that. That guitar's got a very thin fretboard now that it's been re-radiused and everything. So you know, I think he went with stainless. He didn't have a lot of room to kind of move. Yeah, so I haven't got any originals queued up. Sorry, I'm just gonna play something on YouTube, which is what I usually do. Unfortunately, I should load up an original thing, shouldn't I? That could be good. What do we got here? Let's find a track. Okay, this is Fusion / Jazz Funk Guitar Backing Track in G Minor by Jamtrack's channel, which is an excellent channel, and I like hearing all those words. Stainless steel strings too. Oh. I'm just so used to Elixirs now. These are Elixir Nano Webs. These are 10s, but most of my guitars usually have 11s. Although this guitar and my DGT both have 10s on them. They seem to suit that gauge. And I'm just so used to them now, you know. The String Joy people sent out some of their strings to check out. Really nice guys. Sent out a couple of packs to try, and I'm so used to Elixirs. I really want to like them. They're cool, but DR have sent some out as well, and the DR strings I found had a lot of tension on them. So a set of 10s really felt like 11s, and 11s felt like 12s, so which wasn't going to work for me, unfortunately. But they're pretty good. See what I mean about dynamics and phrases? See what I mean? It's not all in one volume. Yeah, Aaron, I kind of agree. It is a little bit smooth jazz, that backing track, but yeah, like your ass is getting blocked for that comment, buddy. Nah, it's all good. It's always the risk when you put fusion in for tracks on YouTube, is that they're going to be smooth jazzish, because sometimes that gets called fusion. You know what I mean? So. Thanks, Ron Cup. Yeah, because it's killer playing once again, guys. Don't forget to give this video a like. Yeah, giving a video a like really helps, I believe. I don't know much about YouTube algorithms or any of that kind of carry on. I don't even know what I'm doing with any of this stuff, as anyone who's watched my channel for more than about 2 seconds should know. I mean, I'm just a player. That's what I've spent my life doing, is playing this thing, you know. The technology stuff, you know. But yeah, I believe that that liking helps tell YouTube that that's a decent video and send it out to more people. So, and as my channel grows, then I can put more time into it. So everybody wins, I think. Hopefully. Aaron says, "What is fusion anyway?" Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I had someone come on my channel once and say that that guitar, I posted that guitar solo, put fusion in the title. The guy said, "That's not fusion, it's blues." I was like, okay, well, I played some blues licks and I played some jazz licks, so there's your fusion right there, right? And my tone was kind of rock, like it was this sort of tone. It was that kind of tone, so that's kind of like a rock tone to me anyway, delays, all that kind of stuff. And there were definitely some fusion-y things, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think sometimes when people hear the word fusion now, they think similar kind of thing to when they hear the word jazz, right? You hear the word jazz and in most people's minds, they kind of make up their mind about what that style is. And I think the same thing's happened with fusion now. People think of a certain thing. It can be whatever you want. Favorite John Scofield solo you've transcribed? Solos. Probably the most useful one was a tune of his called Not You Again. I did a tour with Sco some years ago. I've probably told you guys all about it, but one of the tunes I called, and we had a jam in the hotel room one of the nights, and one of the tunes I called was that. He said, what do you want to play? And we played a blues and we played something else, but then I said, oh, what about playing There Will Never Be Another You? And he goes, do we have to? It's been done to death, right? And I guess that's why his tune Not You Again, right, as in Not You Again, that bloody tune, right, that gets called all the time, is basically a contrafact of the tune There Will Never Be Another You. So I transcribed that one, and I found that super useful, because there were a whole lot of really good licks that I could use over other songs, right? Was one that I stole all the time. Over the F7 chord, he plays this really big fat G7 sharp 5. It's a super cool sound on an F7 chord. Gets your Lydian dominant. He goes something like that, whatever he played. But it was that concept. Right. It's the one I use a lot. I don't think it really matters what you call music anymore, right? Like all the styles are blended now in various different ways, and the whole idea of having genres was that for record labels, so that record stores, so that they could put the rock albums in the rock section and the blues albums in the blues section, etc. Nowadays it's all just, call music whatever you want. And I always find it interesting when people ask me to describe my music or whatever. That like you do an interview, or how would you describe your sound? Who are your influences? And the standard questions, and it's like, let's not talk about it. Just listen to it. You can decide for yourself what you want it to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, sheep shag fusion. You're on a roll tonight, Aaron. I'm gonna block you anyway, just because I can. That was one lick that he does, and there's another one on the next chord, the 2-5. He plays like a really big kind of E minor pentatonic thing, but over, and then ends on the Lydian note. So. Ron Cup says, who are some other famous guitar players like John Scofield and Chris Kane you've got the opportunity to jam with? Yeah, Mike Stern. Did a tour with Mike Stern, which was a lot of fun. You'll no doubt know who Mike Stern is, I hope. Bruce Foreman, I've known Bruce for 20 years and done some workshops together and been out on various different gigs and things, and Bruce is one of my favourite humans, and he's the funniest guy I know. Like, period, and he's a badass guitar player. For me, like, nobody plays bebop guitar better than Bruce nowadays, And, who else of our guitar players? Trying to think. Oh, gee. Ben Shepherd. Here he is. You probably know some of the guitar players I've played with. maybe you don't. I can't think. Who are the other guitar players I've played with? Larry Coons. Bruce Foreman, as I mentioned, Mike Stern, Chris Kane, of course. I never got to play with Robin Ford, but I got to interview him in the interviews on my channel. He was an interesting chap. I think Robin was a bit jaded from touring at that point when he came here. He told me a bunch of times that he just was kind of sick of going on the road and just wanted to stay at home. But he was also leaving the US and moving to Paris at the time, which is an interesting kind of move, Paris, a beautiful city. One of my favourite guitar players is probably someone you've never heard of before, but was Lance Sewer. He's a guy that I played with a lot when I was starting out, and we worked really well together as a 2-guitar package for different things. So the first season of Dancing with the Stars, when I did that show, Lance was also playing guitar, and Lance and I don't think we ever once talked about who was going to do what and where. There was never like, oh, you do the solo in this and I'll do that. It was just, we just kind of did it, right? And he would do something and I would sit in. Lee Jackson, I played with Lee last night, so I've already mentioned that in the live stream, but we played Hot Cafe, the gypsy band we played last night at the Wellington Jazz Club, so that was fun. And it was made especially fun too because Nick Brown, the violinist, has just had a hip surgery or something, hip replacement, and he's on drugs, like strong painkiller drugs, so that made the gig kind of fun. No, I've never played with Borelli Lagreen, and I've never met Borelli either. I like his playing a lot, though. One of my favourite albums that I own is Borelli Lagreen and Sylvain Luc, the French guitar player. They're both French guitar players. Those guys are badass, and they sound really great. Yeah, Dixon Nacy, I've played a bunch with Dixon. I love Dixon's playing. He's fantastic. He's one of the best New Zealand guitar players without a doubt. And Warren Mendonça in Auckland. Warren sounds freaking awesome too. There's loads of guitar players that are great here. But you asked about famous people. I don't know if is Dixon famous and Lee Jackson famous. You guys probably don't know who they are, but you should. There's a lot of really good guitar players in this country, considering it's a small country. Did a gig with Dixon in Auckland. We did a 2-guitar thing at CJC, the Creative Jazz Club in Auckland, and all these students turned up, Dixon students, and because he was teaching at Auckland University at the time. And I remember walking in, and a bunch of them were like, "Who's that guy?" And another one of his mates says, "I don't know, some guy from Wellington." And I was like, And then he said, "Oh, Dixon's gonna waste him." Oh man, Dixon's an old friend. It's not like we're trying to like outdo each other. I mean, there was some rivalry, like friendly rivalry, but it was just fun, right? And we're there to have music, play music together and have fun, and kind of egg each other on. And the best bit about it was we finished the gig, and afterwards these students were like, "Have you got any CDs available? Can you sign my CD?" I was like, "Eat it." No, I've never really properly got to jam with Josh Smith, but I know Josh fairly well. I went over to his house one time when I was in LA, and we hung out for about 4 or 5 hours, and showed me a bunch of his gear, and I played through a bunch of his amps. He had an original Bassman it's owned by Joe Bonamassa, but Joe leaves it at Josh's house because Josh now plays in Joe's band, but at the time he wasn't playing in Joe's band. It was Kurt Fletcher was doing it, but Joe's his best friend, and they've been best friends forever, so Joe leaves gear there all the time. But I played Josh's guitar, and I couldn't play it. It was like, he's got 13 gauge strings with really high action, and it's just like it's nearly impossible to play. But no, I've never got to jam with Josh. I saw him at the NAMM show in January, and we had a bit of a catch up, which was nice. He's a good dude, I really like Josh. I mean, he's a player like everyone else, There's no real ego. It's just plays like everyone else. You know what I mean? He's cool. There was talk of him coming out to New Zealand at one point because he has an Ibanez signature model, and so I introduced him to the Ibanez guys in New Zealand, Darren and Steve. And we all met up at the hotel, and they got to meet Josh, and we were talking about it. I don't know whatever happened with that, but it'd be cool if he can come out here and hang. That'd be great. Broadway Blues album, Jaco Pastorius and Borelli Lagreen, classic. Yeah, I agree, Ben. I'm not as much of a fan of Borelli playing electric. Sorry, I know people like it, but I don't like it as much. But I do like that playing on that album. The playing's great. For me, I much prefer Borelli playing the gypsy thing. That's where I think he sounds best, to me. Although I do like that stuff with Silva and Luke. I think they sounded really good together. Like, incredible. And I was listening to this. The way I found out about that album, the one that I bought, was I was listening to a radio station, an online radio station, the NPR, MPK, something, American one, and they play fantastic music. It was really good. And so I'd get the playlist every night, and I'd always find good music that was new to me. But that's where I heard them do Isn't She Lovely? And so I bought the album, ordered it online, and it came out, and yeah, it was amazing. I did meet Mike Miller, yeah. I met Mike Miller at the Baked Potato. Sad to hear that he passed. Yeah, Mike Miller was playing with... Who else was on the gig? I feel like it was Jimmy Johnson playing bass or someone like that. And who was playing drums? God, I can't remember. Mike sounded great though. Oh, favourite song on Dan Huff's new album. I love that album. I only got it like about a week ago. I was having issues with my Bandcamp because of, I think I mentioned it before, that I no longer have my website. Someone else has now taken my website, so if that person would give it back, would be great. So of course my Bandcamp was under my website, email. And of course I couldn't, it kept asking me, it would say, sending a new message notification to your email to change it. And then, Jimmy Earl, that's who it was. Yeah, totally. It was Jimmy Earl playing bass, who sounded awesome. But I want to find this. So that's the album there. If you don't have it, it's going to overexpose a bit. Sorry. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. There you go, kind of half. It's amazing. The album sounds awesome. I like Waiting on a Whisper. I think that's probably my favourite tune. Just great. I can't play it to you now. I'd love to. But it's great. The sound, the guitar tones on it, ridiculous. I mean, for Dan Huff's debut album, you kind of go, man, that guy knocked it out of the park, you know. I mean, but he's like one of the greatest session players to ever walk the planet. You know, if you're not aware of who Dan Huff is, I mean, that's the guy on Man in a Mirror, Michael Jackson, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, that Shania Twain tune, you know. All of that stuff is Dan Huff, you know. You know, legend, Power of Love, Peter Cetera. He played on so much stuff, but he never put out an album of his own. It was always just like playing on other people's albums. So then he's finally done an album at age 65 apparently. I'd love to have Dan Huff on the channel. That would be awesome to get to interview him, have him as a guest on here. I don't know how to reach out to him to do that. If anyone knows Dan Huff, let him know. He's welcome anytime on here. Yeah. Was Dan Huff on Boz Skaggs? Probably. I mean, he literally played on just about everything in the 90s, right? Like Steve Lukather was the big cat in town in LA, and then when Toto became big, Dan Huff had just moved to LA, so he literally walked in to be the number one guy. He was David Foster's guy, he was Mutt Lange's guy. All the producers loved Dan Huff, and you know why? Because his rhythm playing is badass. That dude's pocket is deep. Yeah, I saw that he mentioned on Instagram that he's starting a YouTube channel. I'm hoping that's cool, like that he's got time to do it, and it's not gonna. I suppose he does, you know, because he's a pretty in-demand producer nowadays. But I think I've watched every interview thing on YouTube of Dan Huff there is, so the more stuff about Dan Huff, I'm into it. Like, he's one of my favorite guitar players. I mean, I've been into him since, like, his playing since the the giant days, you know, when see you in my dreams and things like that, you know. I have to go in a minute, folks. It's just been an hour. I usually try to keep these to an hour. I'm glad you like the camera angle. And hopefully the sound and stuff is alright. Yeah, whenever I think of, like, it's one of the reasons I wanted to get the Strat was because of Dan Huff. Sunburst Strat, and I really want to put a humbucker in there and a black pickguard like he did. You know what I mean? I'm such a Dan Huff nerd. I love his playing. But any quick questions, people, before I go? Because it's been an hour. I try and keep this to an hour because it takes ages to upload otherwise. I know what I'll do. Why don't I play it out with something? Let's do that. Why don't I find another track? I feel like playing a blues. Actually, I feel like playing something SCO-like. Why don't I do that? Why don't I find a SCO tune, seeing as someone mentioned SCO before? Come on, iPad, wake up. Usually what I do is I play tracks through this little mixer thing here, and I use just YouTube. Let's see what comes up when I do this. Yeah, I'll play a track. Let's do that. Okay, this is John Schofield, Funky Blues Guitar backing track in B flat, and it's by the Jam Tracks channel, which I've already played one of theirs, so why not do another? It's funny, someone left a comment on my YouTube channel once and said, "Good job trying to confuse people playing everything in B flat, man." You know, I thought it was funny. I sort of had to explain that, well, for jazz music, B flat is the standard key. You're more likely to play in B flat than any other key because of horn players, right? And the whole B flat is their C for a tenor sax and a trumpet player. But I get it, you know, guitar players, beginners probably are used to playing in E. But yeah, anyway, this is in B flat, so here goes. That's a good point. Bass with Benjamin, Ben Shepherd, says that E is not the key for playing jazz, George Benson. Totally agree. I'd forgotten about that quote. That's a great one. Ben, you should come on the channel. It'd be really great to have you on here as a guest. Come and have a chat about music and what you hate about Guitarist. You can have a big vent about it and all that stuff. It'd be great. Ben's one of the baddest dudes around. And if you haven't got my Reamped album, the one I did with Ben and Dylan, you need to get it. It's free on Bandcamp. It'll be linked below. And Ben plays his ass off on it. It sounds incredible. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words, people. Thank you for joining me today for my usual weekly live stream. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. If you haven't liked, please do that. All that stuff really helps. And but the most important thing is that you're here to watch. And Ben's going to come and play bass chords for us all and teach us how to play chords, right? I love the bass chords. I don't know why people like be dicks about that sort of stuff. I saw this guy today that was talking about playing pick on the bass, and it was a UK bass player, legendary guy. He used to play in Whitesnake, I think it was, something like that. Like, he'd been around. He looked like an old rocker kind of guy, you know. He calls himself the monster of fretless bass or something, you know. But I watched this video about him. He was talking about how, you know, people kind of hate on playing with the pick, and he played all the stuff, like kind of rockin' stuff with the pick, and it was awesome. And I remember going, like, they just wouldn't sound the same if you played it fingerstyle, right? And he can play fingerstyle, and he does, but he was talking about just Tony Franklin. That's the guy. He was talking about just it gives you another palette. You know, you can have this texture if you're fingerstyle, but you can also have the pick. Now you got two options, you know. So same thing about bass chords. To me, it's like, I love chords on the bass. Like, if it's done properly, like any technique, if it's done badly, it can suck. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go, people. Thanks for joining me, and Ben, yeah, come and be a guest on the channel, man. That'd be great. Come and then I can give you shit instead of the other way around. Miss you, bro. We'll talk soon, eh? Thanks, everyone.